Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to discuss a little bit about the initial configuration and setup for advanced analytics. So advanced analytics is a tool that allows you to track source information, and it does that by using RMK data and ATS data from recruiting management. When you're configuring advanced analytics, it's primarily working with the ATS data and importing that ATS data. So let's talk a little bit about how we import that ATS data. When you first come into your advanced analytics administration panel, you want to select integration settings at the top left, and you'll be greeted with a page that looks a little bit like this. Now, if it's your first time actually setting up the instance, it will actually look more like this, right? You won't actually have anything in the notify line, and get data and process data will both be unchecked. So what you should do is you should load in an email. Now, this email will be contacted whenever there's a new status that needs to be mapped. And those statuses will be mapped from recruiting management SuccessFactors into recruiting marketing advanced analytics. So whomever you load in, whatever email address you load in here, that would be someone that email address should be ready to receive unmapped statuses, and then should be able to make the decision to go ahead and map those statuses either through a support ticket, or if they have the permission to do that as well, they can go ahead and do that themselves. In this case, I'll load in a dummy email here. So we'll just do advanced analytics, sap.com. You want to set the frequency to day. There are 3 options here. You have day, week, and month. Day is the best, not only because it's the most frequent, and it'll give you the quickest updates, but also some people tend to get confused on week and month in terms of how this fires and when. So I recommend day for pretty much everyone across the board. Then you also want to make sure get data and process data are both checked in order to trigger the integration to run. Now you won't have this last ATS data file import date in there as well. It'll be blank. Once you click save with all of these settings ready to go, it will then queue up your instance to then go pull your statuses from recruiting management and pull them into advanced analytics. Once that happens, this last ATS data file import date will actually populate with a valid date at that point. So this is your first time setting up advanced analytics. So a few things. One, you should make sure that you have an external applicant run through each of your statuses. This will trigger the import of a status. A status is only imported once you've assigned an external applicant to that status, okay? If you were to turn on advanced analytics and no status assignments ever take place on any external applicant, the import would actually do nothing. You would never see any statuses populate. So make sure you do have some status assignments in the background. It's incredibly important, especially in stage environments or preview environments, to make sure that you have data to actually import. You should also know to leave get data one time. This is kind of an advanced configuration. This is not really important if you're just setting up the integration. Now, you would click save after you've loaded in all of your configuration items here at the top. You click save. Now we're going to wait 24 hours. Because we've set it today, in 24 hours, you should have your import process run, and it should pull statuses from RCM into your status mappings worksheet here. If it does not pull some statuses, give it one more day just to make sure that it's had enough time to run in the background. If it still does not after that, you might want to take a look at making sure that you've assigned an applicant to each status as well. Okay, so once you do come into the status mappings area here, you should see a bunch of statuses will populate in this upper area up here. So you'll have the status name. It will say things like default and interview and hired. These are your statuses from recruiting management. And then you'll be able to select the appropriate option for advanced analytics, whether it be apply completed, qualified, interviewed, offer made, hired, or ATS capture. So those are your 6 options for advanced analytics. Once you do select the appropriate option for each of your statuses, you can then click Save, and those status assignments will then be saved below here for your review later on. So that's how you actually map in those statuses. Again, the first step is you set up the integration settings panel the first day. Then you wait 24 to 48 hours for statuses to import. Once they do import, then you can start mapping them and click Save. Once you start mapping them, you'll want to give them another day or two to load up all of the data from either your environment or your customer's environment in recruiting management into advanced analytics. But once you do get all those statuses mapped, you should be able to start using advanced analytics within a few days. Finally, you do also want to set your field label customization options as well. Essentially, you have some fields mapped from recruiting management into recruiting marketing. These fields are typically job fields like department and category, custom 1, custom 2, job title, all of these different fields from your job requisition. You can customize the label that they appear under. So on the left here, we have various RMK field names. These are not necessarily specific to your instance or your customer's instance. These are actually the standardized field names based on the RMK job rec template. On the right, we actually have the various options for how you want to label a field. So let's say I have pay grade being sent to my business unit 1 RMK field. Then all it takes is for me to write pay grade here and then click Save. And then from then on, I'll have pay grade in advanced analytics when searching. This is the label pay grade that this data will appear under. Now note, if I actually have something like shift type being sent to business unit in RMK and I label it as pay grade, well, you'll still see pay grade. So please keep in mind what data you're actually sending to which of these RMK fields before making these label changes. Once you click Save on the field label changes, it will take about 24 hours for these changes to populate within your environment in the front end of advanced analytics. So please do give it a little bit of time. For good practice, I like to go ahead and on the first day when I set up the integration settings up front, I will also come down and set up the field label customizations that same day. That usually works pretty well for me, and I think you'll like it as well. Okay, so those are the 3 main steps to getting advanced analytics up and running. Once you have the configurations done, you might want to go take a look at the data and make sure it all looks good. But otherwise, you should be up and running with the tool. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.